Today, we're diving into a story that's right at that crazy and, let's be honest, kind of scary intersection of massive hype and some serious risk. We are talking about Lightchain AI. This was a project with a vision so big it grabbed the attention of pretty much the entire crypto world. Okay, let's get into it. $22 million. I just want you to let that number sink in for a second. I mean, it's a staggering amount of money. And it tells you right away, this wasn't some little project flying under the radar. Nope. This thing had serious cash and serious eyeballs on it from the very beginning. So what was all that money for? Well, it was the fuel for an incredibly ambitious promise to build a brand new blockchain from the ground up, specifically for artificial intelligence. It sounded like the next big thing, a perfect mix of the two hottest technologies on the planet. But that leads us to the real question here. With so much promise and so much money on the line, why are a whole bunch of the very people who funded this vision now calling it a trap? This is where the story starts to get, well, complicated. To really get the controversy, first we have to get the hype. The official story, what Lightchain AI was selling, wasn't just compelling, it was pure sci-fi. So let's break down the core tech that had so many investors lining up to get in on the ground floor. At the heart of their whole pitch was this brand new idea they called proof of intelligence. So forget the usual proof of work or proof of stake. The idea here was that you'd get rewarded not for, burning a ton of energy, but for actually doing useful AI stuff on the network. It's a genuinely cool concept, you have to admit. And the second big piece of their vision was the AIVM, or the AI virtual machine. Think of it like a special zone built right into the blockchain, just for developers to build and run their AI programs. This was pitched as the key piece of tech that would finally connect these two powerful worlds. And to back it all up, they had what looked like a really solid plan. The project's tokenomics, with its 10 billion tokens, seemed pretty well thought out. You've got a huge chunk for the presale to get the money, a big slice for staking rewards, funds for marketing, and even grants for developers. On paper, it all looked totally credible. So, with millions in the bank and a community just buzzing with excitement, all eyes were on one thing, the Mainnet launch. But this, my friends, is where our story takes a very, very sharp turn. The timeline seemed crystal clear. The project kicks off in 2024. The pre-sale is this huge success. Testnet is on the schedule for early 2025. Everything was building towards this one single critical date, July 31st, 2025. That was supposed to be the day the network finally went live. And then, on the very day it was all supposed to happen, a sudden, abrupt postponement. Just like that, the launch was kicked down the road to some vague, unspecified date later in the year. You can just imagine the whiplash for everyone who had invested. So what was the official reason? Well, the team said they had to deal with issues from a last-minute security audit. This audit, which was dated just 3 days before launch, found 23 unresolved issues. Now, to be fair, none of them were listed as critical, but having 4 major and 4 medium severity problems just sitting there, unresolved, that is not a great look. As you can probably guess, that delay and the kind of vague explanation set off an absolute firestorm. The community that had funded this whole thing went from hyped to suspicious almost overnight. And this is where the investor side of the story, the one filled with red flags, really kicks off. A pattern of warning signs really started to take shape. You've got the last-minute audit, the fuzzy communication, and the fact that everyone's tokens were still locked up, untradeable, long after the pre-sale. And then the more worrying stuff started to bubble up. Accusations of censorship, and this growing feeling that there was way more marketing hype than actual tech progress. And we're not just talking about vague feelings here. We started seeing personal stories, like this one from a user on Reddit. After they invested, they were contacted by someone claiming to be from support, asking for more money, 0.2 ETH to cover missing liquidity before they could get their tokens. I mean, come on, that is a classic and deeply concerning tactic. And it didn't stop there. Other investors started reporting that when they went to the official Telegram channel to ask totally reasonable questions, like about the project's fundraising goals, they were just banned, out. When you start silencing your own community, the alarm bells start ringing loud and clear. All of this has led to a market that is just in complete chaos, because despite all the drama, the LCAI token is actually trading, but the whole environment around it is one of total confusion. So let's look at the cold, hard numbers.
The token isn't worthless. It does have a market value, but, and this is a huge but, it's trading in a climate of extreme fear. The market sentiment score is all the way down at 11. That tells you the overwhelming feeling among investors is just pure anxiety and pessimism.
And this lack of clarity is perfectly captured in the price predictions for 2030. I mean, look at this. The bearish case, the token goes to 0. Done. The bullish case sees it hitting 8 cents. This massive range shows you that the market has absolutely no idea which way this is going to go. There is zero consensus.
So after digging through the hype, the frustrating delays, and all this messy data, what's the lesson here? The whole saga of Lightchain AI really serves as a powerful case study for any crypto investor, especially when you're looking at a project that sounds a little too good to be true. It all boils down to this really simple conflict. On one side, you have the promise, innovation, AI-powered tech, decentralization, community. And on the other side, you've got the reality we've seen so far: delays, vague details, censorship, unproven tech, and just a whole lot of investor frustration. Which really brings us to the final thought. The Lightchain story is a perfect example of that collision between incredible, intoxicating hype and just incredible risk. The question for every single investor is, when you see that collision happening in real time, what do you choose to hear? An opportunity or a trap?